Welcome back for part 3 of the highly detailed C6 Corvette camshaft swap. In parts 1 and 2 we've gotten pretty far, as you can see, and this is taking a multi-part series because you guys are sick and tired of videos that skip over the details you need to be aware of if you're thinking about tackling this job on your own C6.
Toys for life.
My oil pump produces 31 pounds per square inch of oil pressure at idle while hot, so I'm going to reuse it, but I'm replacing both of the timing gears, and in order to remove them, the oil pump has to come off. I broke the 10mm bolt loose that holds the pickup tube on with a 10mm line wrench, and it comes off easily by hand the rest of the way. Just don't drop it into the oil pan. Now it's just a matter of removing the 4 bolts that hold the pump to the block and carefully pulling the oil pump off, making sure not to lose the rubber pickup tube O-ring. We're not reusing the O-ring, but we need it to help identify the correct O-ring to use when putting things back together. The timing chain is loose, and they almost always are, and as mentioned in the last video, a new timing set from Cloy's is on the way, and that'll be installed soon. I popped the timing cover off to confirm that this is a 4-sensor 3-bolt cam, which it is. So now after cleaning it, I'll temporarily slide it back on to keep everything clean and install the old balancer bolt and a couple of washers so I'll be able to turn the engine over as needed while removing the rocker arms. The oil pump is the heart of the lubrication system, so it is stored away safely in its own special box. I need to rotate the crankshaft while removing the rocker arms, and we'll need access to the spark plug holes when changing the valve springs, so the next step is to remove the spark plug wires, spark plugs, and valve cover. Again, if you use a dab of dielectric grease whenever you put spark plug wires on, it really does make them easier to remove down the road. Now I can pop off the valve cover, and once again, I'm impressed with how clean things are inside. I can remove all of the rockers except for these two. As you can see when I use a straight edge, these valves are partially open, and you don't want to remove rockers under spring pressure, so these two will be last. I can go ahead and remove the others at this time, but before I do, you gotta have a plan as to where the parts are gonna go. Everything I remove goes back in the same way, in the same orientation that it came out, so you have to keep it organized. Now I can break the bolts loose for 6 of the 8 rockers and then remove them with the 3/8" drive impact and transfer the parts to the organizer. For the remaining 2 rockers, I'll need to rotate the engine by hand until both of the remaining valves close. Then I can remove them as well and transfer them along with the push rods and the rocker arm stands to the organizer as well, after making sure to make note of the stand's orientation. Now I can remove the crank bolt and remove the timing cover one more time. Then I can remove the timing chain dampener and reinstall the crank bolt with washers so that I can turn the crank until the mark on the bottom of the cam timing gear matches the mark on the top of the crank timing gear. Now I can remove the 3 bolts holding the timing gear to the camshaft and then slide the gear and the chain off together. Next I'll remove the timing gear from the crankshaft only because I'm replacing it with a new one. These are usually not stuck on too tight, so I'll be using a 2-jaw puller to remove it. If it was stuck on really good, I'd go ahead and use all 3 jaws. Notice I'm pushing against the old crank bolt, which I modified by drilling a slight indent in its center and then adding a drop of oil. Now I can slide off the crank gear. We are super close to removing the camshaft from the LS2, but first we need to talk about a couple of things. The air conditioning condenser is still attached to the air conditioning system, so instead of removing it, I'm simply going to move it out of the way. I think most guys out there tend to lift the condenser up and out of the way while taking the old camshaft out and installing the new one.
Yep. All these damn hoses in the way over here, can't see shit.
But that's a 2-person job, so instead, I simply like to let the condenser drop down so it's out of the way, making room for the camshaft. Of course, you can use whichever method works best for you. Just be sure not to flex the hard line too much, because if you do, it'll crack. The second thing we need to talk about are the roller lifters. Since I am not planning on removing my cylinder heads, I need to make sure that the roller lifters stay up and in their trays, and that they stay that way during the time that the old camshaft is out and until the new camshaft is installed. In theory, the lifter trays are snug enough around the lifters to hold them up and retain them while the camshaft is out. However, that's not always the case. especially if your LS engine has a few miles on it. Here's how to know if your lifters will likely stay up or not. First, make sure you remove all of your rocker arms, but leave the push rods in for now. Then, with your hand, twist the camshaft as fast as you can, at least one turn, maybe 2 or 3, and that will push up all of the lifters and push rods into their trays. If any of your push rods fall back down as you're rotating the cam, then you know that that particular lifter is not likely to stay inside of the tray when your camshaft is removed, and that complicates things. Also, and this is important, when we turn that camshaft quickly a turn or 2 and then we left it, 1 or more of those lifters will be at or near the high point of their respective cam lobe, therefore not able to fall. So after about 30 seconds or so, give the cam another turn about halfway and see if any other push rods fall. Now obviously the push rods have some weight to them, so before we pull the camshaft out, we're going to remove the push rods so their weight doesn't help assist pushing the lifters down. That having been said, now that I know which lifters are most likely to slide down in their trays, I'm going to take a simple additional step to help ensure that that doesn't happen. And to do that, I'm going to be using a strong pen magnet and a clothespin. Here's how. First, make sure you use a strong pen magnet. Not all pen magnets are created equally. Here's a crappy one, and here's a good one that only cost a few bucks. Then adjust its length so it's a little bit longer than the push rod and insert it down into the push rod hole. Then watch it go up and down as you turn the cam, and as it reaches the high point, attach the clothespin to it to prevent the lifter from falling down. There's another step we need to take to help prevent the lifters from falling into the engine, and that is to insert these 2 dowels into the engine block, one on each side of the camshaft. The measurement of these dowels is very important. They need to be 5/16 of an inch diameter, and the length needs to be at least 22 inches long. Some guys make them out of metal like brake lines. I prefer to make mine out of wood, and I've sanded one end kind of round to help it go into the block, and I've also looked it over carefully to make sure there's no loose wood particles that are going to get into the engine. When the dowels are inserted into the engine, I believe they intersect the lifters right about here in this recessed area portion of the lifter, which is how the dowels prevent the lifters from falling all the way down in the engine in the event the lifter trays and any magnets you may have installed fail to hold the lifter in the full upright position. If one of your lifters were to partially fall and be caught by one of your wooden dowels while you were removing or installing your camshaft, you would need to take a magnet and insert it through the push rod hole and attempt to pull that lifter back up before you could resume removing or inserting the new cam. With all that having been said, let's continue, and the next step is to remove the camshaft retaining plate. Now the cam is ready to be removed, but first let's prepare the new cam so that it's ready to go in as soon as the old cam has been removed. This is my old camshaft, but let's pretend it's the new one. To prepare it for installation, clean it thoroughly with a good solvent and some clean rags, and don't forget to clean inside the hollow part of the cam as well. I'm always surprised at how much grime and gunk you'll get out of here. Next, I like to lubricate the bearings journals, which are these full round parts, with this Permatex Ultra Stick. It's ultra sticky like it says, and it does a good job of staying on and protecting the journals and the bearings from the initial startup. Next, I like to use Mobil 1 synthetic 75W90 gear lube on the camshaft lobes. I think it does a better job of sticking to the lobes than regular motor oil. There are varying opinions on this, so use whatever makes the most sense to you. Now it is time to remove the old camshaft, but remember to spin the cam over quickly a couple of times with the rockers and push rods removed as we just discussed, and insert the 5/16 of an inch thick by 22 inch long dowels into the holes next to the camshaft. Now with a couple of water pump bolts screwed into the front of the camshaft for leverage, take your time and gently remove the old camshaft. You may need to twist it a little here and there to get it out, and if for some reason it seems really stuck, double check to make sure none of your roller lifters have dropped down and are preventing the cam from moving any further. Fortunately, I did all the prep work correctly and my cam came out without any issues. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you learned anything, go ahead and tap that thumbs up below. If you come here often, you might as well subscribe so you get notifications for the next video. And most of all, thanks for watching.